Okay, I'm doing something new, something different, sitting outside. I'm going to do a live painting. Let me turn the camera around so we can see. All right, this is where I messed up because somehow I muted the microphone, and the rest of the video, the rest of the 1 hour video is gone. The audio from it is gone. So I am back the next day to narrate a little bit, and I'm disappointed. I guess it's a lesson learned. I must have hit the mute button when I hit the button that turns the camera around. So anyway, I went out on the porch, and what you're missing is the beautiful bird sounds that were happening at that time. So if you can, in your mind's ear, if you can hear the birds, they were really singing nicely. I heard a woodpecker. I heard some, who knows what kind of birds I heard, but I also heard a mourning dove and crows. I heard lots of crows. I've got a lot of crows around here. So what I decided to do was to go outdoors and paint this 12-inch by 16-inch canvas board using acrylic paint. And I did not have a reference photo. I just thought, well, I'll just go out there and have fun. So before I started the camera, you could tell that I already painted the board with an underpainting of orange and brown. There is so many different thoughts on underpaintings, and for me, the best thing I think that works is just what you're looking at right there, that underpainting of just kind of haphazard. And if you have something in mind specifically that's going to be brighter than another part of the painting, then yeah, you might want to keep that brighter. Or a lot of times what works too is if you do a complementary or opposite color. So for example, I have a lot of green in this painting. I might have wanted to paint it more red than orange, but orange was the color I went with. Orange seems to show up in the sky, in the early morning times and in the evening times. And so since that happens, and since there is orange going under the paint that I'm putting down for the sky, it'll peek through a little bit, a little hint here and there, and I just kind of like the way it looks. However, I mean, it's kind of a personal choice thing, and I seem to do it a lot with the canvases. I don't do it at all with the journal I've been working on. Which, by the way, today would be the 41st page, but I won't have time to do another page in my journal today because today we're going to Daytona Beach to visit with some family that is visiting from Wisconsin. This is Robin's family. And so we have to leave at 7:30, and right now it's 6 o'clock. So I won't be able to do another video, but I can narrate this one. And for those of you who wrote me and said there's no sound, I felt so bad. I was like, oh gosh, I messed up somewhere. And when I went back to the app, the YouTube app, I looked and I saw that the turnaround button is right next to the mute button. And I'm pretty sure that's what I did. So anyway, well, we got the video. So in my typical dabbing, what do you call my dabbing technique? Is it a technique? That's how I'm putting the paint on. I'm putting it on thick too. I'm putting it on thick. I kind of like that textured look. All the illustrations and artwork I've done on digital is flat because it's digital. You can't have physical texture on a digital painting. Well, you could, I guess, if you printed it up and then added something to it. And who knows, technology in the future might be able to print a digital picture that has physical brush strokes that you can feel with your fingers. And anyway, so I'm just basically doing a light blue and white mixed together, and I'm adding a little bit more white each time, like I get closer to the horizon. And that little bit of blue you see in the middle there, that was my, I was trying to visualize where a lake might be, or where the edge of the lake might be in the distance. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to paint a picture of a lake in the woods with a trail leading to it. So I kind of used, things that I've done in the past, and decided to just kind of wing one. What mostly was my driving force here was the outdoor weather. It was just so beautiful out there that I just wanted to go out and be in it. I didn't want to be in the room. And usually, like with a painting like this, it would take a lot longer. But I knew that I was just going to do what I consider a simple landscape. And so I figured, well, it might be 2 hours. Who knows? It took about an hour, though. So I thought, well, I'd just sit outside for a little while, hear the birds, and kind of be aware of the outside traffic. You can't see them in the picture, but there's a road up not too far from where I'm sitting, and not a real busy road. Sometimes it gets busy, but it's also used by pedestrians, mostly bicyclists. So you have bicycles passing by, and cars passing by, trucks passing by, noisy trucks sometimes, noisy motorcycles passing by. Yeah, so. Well, how are you anyway? I've been reading some of your comments, and you guys are just more than kind. Thank you so much. You're also more than talented. So much. I've watched some of the videos you guys have made. I've looked at the artwork that you guys have posted, and it's really nice to be part of a community, even if it is an online community. I don't know if you have an actual community like that you belong to, but there's several around here in my area that have like little things where the artists get together, and it's not competition. I kind of don't like competition. I'll be honest with you. I don't like the idea that somebody gets a trophy or somebody gets a ribbon. It just seems so unlike art. I mean, trophies and ribbons, that's maybe for sports. I don't even know that I like it when it comes to the performing arts. I like the Oscars and the Grammys. It's like, why? Why do you insist on saying one is better than the other? And why do we buy into that as a society? Sorry. It's the old man morning voice thing. So anyway, enough of that. The competitions are okay, I guess. I'm not okay with them, but they're okay in that it's possible, especially for a young artist. It's possible for a young artist to maybe get work or maybe get recognized as the talent that she is or that he is, and get recognized through some kind of competition. I don't know. But I think if I was going to change things, I would just have a show. Just do a show. Just let people enter their work and display them, and there you go. It's not necessarily something that I would do because I'm 70 years old, but if I was 17, in fact, when I was 17, I did enter my art into an art show and did not win, but I got a lot of nice comments and made me feel good. All right, let me tell you a little bit about what I'm doing here. You can obviously tell that I'm painting a background of trees, but you see right there, how dark the paint is? Well, that's not necessarily so good because the distant trees should be more washed out, faded, like the ones to the left. See, I did the ones to the left correctly, and but in my work, I mean, I know it right away. I'm just pointing that out to you. Gosh, my throat, I can't seem to clear it out. But I did go back later on, and because kind of everything is like in relationship to the other things in the painting. So what's going to happen later on is there's going to be some foreground trees, and they're going to be much more contrasted, much darker. And then I kind of have a point of reference that I can use to then fade out those background trees. Yeah, and at this point, I mean, the lake looks just just looks like the way a child would draw a bowl, right? Yeah, or a caveman. That's the way a caveman writes, paints a bowl on the wall. That must have been something else. Can you imagine, like art early on in civilization, when the only canvas you had was the wall of a cave? Wow. I wonder if that's true, though. I wonder if that's just the only stuff we still have. I mean, maybe they did get like stones, so they could actually have artwork, like in their living quarters or whatever. What do you think that was like? Plus, I mean, being an artist must have been a real luxury, because wasn't life mostly spent finding food and finding shelter and defending yourself from the elements and the wild animals and stuff? I don't know. I'm speculating. Oh, I got a stereo microphone. I didn't even realize it. I can hear it in my headset going from left to right. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, if I knew that, then I would be doing this. I'm on your left side, and I'm on your right side. Oh, did not know that. I learned something new about my microphone. Yeah, today we're going to Daytona. Robin's cousins are visiting from Wisconsin, and they have a nice, really nice place it's one of those timeshare things, and they love it. A lot of people don't like their timeshares. I've never had a timeshare, but they love theirs, and they stay there every year. Every year they come down from Wisconsin and spend a week there, and then they go down to another one that they have in South Florida. So we're going to visit with them, and she is really, the wife is really nice. Well, they're both really nice. I wanted to comment on her. She's also an artist. It's like what I was trying to get at here, and she does. Her art is so unique from compared to what I do. I think mine is not unique at all. I'm just doing landscapes, and I'm just painting. I'm just Poppa, and I'm painting. So, it's funny looking at it when you're doing it. It's different than looking at it now, because to me it looks kind of nice. It's like, wow, that's not a bad little landscape just as it is. So, isn't that the way it is? I did a painting the other day, and I took a photo of it at the halfway point. And I showed the finished painting to Robin, and then I showed her the halfway point picture, and she liked that one better. So I thought, sometimes I do go too far. Sometimes it might be better to just walk away from it, So, and it's a good thing actually to take photographs, because then later on, especially if you're just doing small pictures like 5x7, the size, or that's approximately the size of the art journal that I've been working on. So those pictures will eventually, I hope I know enough or have the fortitude enough to make them into larger paintings. Some of them I like a lot, so those are the ones that'll become larger paintings, I think. I have one I did recently of three little girls, just frolicking in the in a wildflower meadow, and a lot of people liked it, and I like it, and I thought, well, that might be a good one for a larger painting. When you see paintings in hospitals or in nursing homes or in facilities that people are either recovering or just the end of life care, that kind of thing, It's especially for the guests and maybe for the residents too. But it just seems like it's such a nice way to escape just by shifting your eyes over to that painting. There are a few paintings in the hospital here in Ocala and they're rather large too. They're probably 3 feet by 4 feet or something. They're rather large, and to me, it looks like they are impressionistic pastels, and they are beautiful. I mean, you look at those paintings and you just know that artist was just beaming with richness and the colors. So it's kind of something to want to do. I have a tendency to want to do things that I'm comfortable with and familiar with. This painting right here is a perfect example because without using a reference photo, you kind of do lean on the things you're comfortable with. It's kind of like the Bob Ross approach where, you paint some mountains. He was really good with the paintings he did. I've said this before, but let me say it here, that I think that Bob Ross was way better than most people think he was. And the reason I say that is because we all know his work from a 27-minute time span. That's how long he had for his half-hour show, 27 minutes because of commercials and station IDs and all that. So he had 27 minutes to get a painting done. Isn't that incredible? It really, truly is. And those paintings were rather magnificent. And but yet I know that he had some work that he did off camera that took much longer than 27 minutes. That is brilliant work, and yet the work he's famous for is the 27-minute paintings. It's kind of funny. It's like when a recording artist, for example, says they spent all this time in the studio making their album, and they needed one more song, so they just whipped one out, did it real quickly. And then that becomes the one that's their hit. That's the one that everybody knows them for. And so there you go. Well, there's kind of right there on my painting. That's basically the composition without the foreground trees. So what I'm doing now is I'm adding, now that I have the darker areas in, I wanted to add some light areas on top of it. And I was using a material called Slow Dry. It helps slow down the drying process of acrylic paint. You don't really need it with oils because oils take so long to dry. So it thins it out a little bit, but it mostly is used to slow down the drying process. And you could spray it too. A lot of people take a little spritzer, spray container, what do you call those things with the trigger on them? Spray water on your painting. That helps a little bit. People use that with watercolor too. So what I'm doing now is I'm adding some light colors because I wanted to have like a dappled sunlight look on this painting. You can see at this point that I didn't even have the idea for the trail yet. I will put a trail in there eventually. And now in the background I'm adding just little dabs of yellow and yellow ochre, just to create the illusion or the look of sunlight hitting those trees in the distance. And the more the painting dries, the more it becomes a little bit easier to add a different layer on top of it. And in fact, before I started painting, after I did the underpainting, I had to wait for the underpainting to dry before I could really start painting on top of it. Otherwise, it would have been a mess. But it was okay because it gave me a chance to sit there on the porch and, I don't know, just kind of be at one with nature. You know, they say old people, and I guess I'm in there, I'm one of them. They say us old people, we like to sit on the porch and, and just watch the world go by. Well, I guess that's what I was doing while I was waiting for the paint to dry. Yeah. And if it was oils, forget it. You couldn't do it. Do you know what I was watching? A video, and I'm going to try this. where the artists were taking acrylic paint and painting whatever, a painting, and then after it dried, they were going over it. I don't know if it completely or just in parts, but they were using oil paint on top of it. And then, of course, oil paint takes a couple weeks to completely dry. And they were saying, now you couldn't really tell on camera, but they were saying how much more vibrant it looked than the acrylic. But I don't know. See, here's the thing. Almost all of my work, almost every painting I do, ends up as a print somewhere. So the prints are ink. They're not even paint. So when somebody buys a print, for example, of this painting, they're going to get a nice looking piece of art that's not original. And it's a lot more affordable when it's not original, and it's just as vibrant as the original. And when you're standing in a room across the hall, like those pictures I saw in the hospital, none of those were originals. They were all prints. But, the printing technology of today is so good. I mean, you really don't have to have the original on the wall. So the originals are basically just collector's items, I think. I don't know. I'm not a collector. Unless you consider the things I've done a collection of things I've done. So yesterday when I was making this video, I was talking to you about things other than painting. I was telling you about who knows what. I don't even remember what I talked about. But today, like I say, we're going to Daytona. Robin's cousin makes homemade egg rolls. Yes, they're really good. Really good. I gotta watch what I eat though. Yeah, I gotta be careful. So I'll go over there and be careful. And then if it's nice, and the weatherman says it's gonna be nice, so I'm looking forward to actually going down to the beach, to the surf, to the sand. Because most of the time we'll be visiting them in their condominium, or whatever you call that thing. It's like a really super nice hotel. That's what it's like. And they have an outdoor pool. They have an outdoor lazy river. And they have an indoor pool. Isn't that cool? And to get to enter anything, you have to have a card, like an electronic key. A card that's a key. And I guess that's what it was last time we went anyway. And they, of course, if you're a guest, you get a key, a card, whatever. You even needed to get down to the beach from the little platform behind the hotel. You need to get off of that and then down to the water. When my son was younger, we would go to the beach, and quite often he would prefer to swim in the motel swimming pools, the hotel swimming pools. He liked the ocean, he liked playing in the waves, but he also liked swimming in those pools. And back then, I'm talking about the early 90s now. Back then, you could go up the staircases behind the hotels, and you could use the swimming pools, and you could use the bathrooms, and you could play in the game rooms. They had video game rooms back then. My son used to love them too. And it's a fond memory for me. But now, I guess because the world is so, everything has to be locked up now, and there's so many people who just want to take and make things not so good. I don't want to get into that. But anyway, now they keep it all locked up. All right, so you can see I added a trail, something that goes down to the lake, and I thought, wow, that looks nice. And what really has to happen now is I have to put sunlight on everything, little dabs of sunlight. And so that's what you're mostly watching me do, is put little dabs of sunlight on there. And the sunlight color of choice was, I had like two yellows. I had like a lemon yellow, and then I had a deeper yellow, almost orange. And then, of course, white. And so sometimes I put the white directly, but most of the times I use the white with the yellow or with the orange yellow, just to brighten it up a little bit. And to darken it, by the way, just so you know, there's no black in this painting. All of the dark greens are actually Payne's gray mixed with yellow. That's how I was accomplishing the greens. And I did have some green paint on the palette also. Do you know, I have a theory or a philosophy about paint colors. I think sometimes a painting is better when it's like a limited palette and then add a few accents. So right here, already on this painting, it's a very limited palette. I mean, it's blues and greens. Basically, that's all it is blues and greens. And of course, green is yellowish green, and there's different shades of blue, different shades of green. But it's basically that whole part of the color wheel where the blues are. There's that orange color right there. And then later on, you'll see that I added the wildflowers into the painting, and I just used bright red and purple and white, pure white, and you'll see that later on. And there we are. One of the things I think that makes a landscape pop also is little wisps that are probably in your mind's eye. You're probably seeing them as grass, even though it's just a little wisp of paint, a little brush stroke that makes your mind think of something that's not really there. None of it is really there. It's all just paint on a canvas. The one thing I think for the process of painting, it is very, I was going to say relaxing, but it's not always relaxing. Sometimes it's stressful. I think doing landscapes can be relaxing. That's what I think. I think doing portraits sometimes can be it can take a toll on you. You have to focus so much on a portrait, unless it's a fake portrait. If it's not a real person, and nobody will know that it doesn't look like the person. But when you're trying to do a portrait, and it has to look like the person, it's a lot of focus. And I've watched videos of these guys too, and some of them are so unbelievably good at doing portraits. I guess you would say it's a portrait. Like last week or so, I did a portrait of 3 dogs. And you know, dogs are dogs, and to everybody else, they are just dogs. But to the guy I was painting it for, those are his dogs, and they all have names. And he knows every whisker on their face. Not literally, not that I literally painted every whisker, but to capture the likeness of those 3 dogs required a lot of studying of their faces, just like it would if you were painting a human being. So that was a little bit of I don't know. It wasn't as relaxing as something like this. This is kind of relaxing. Hopefully you're doing okay. How's the weather where you are, by the way? It's beautiful here. We had a really cold week last week. I mean, for Florida, they had to wake up and find that the temperature is 28 degrees. I know that doesn't seem cold if you live in negative 12. But in Florida, that's very cold. And now this week, oh my gosh, this week it's like Florida. This is the week those people who live in the colder climates, this is the week that those are the folks who should come down. Summertime here is way too hot. I'll be honest with you. I know a lot of people come here for the Disney World and Universal Studios. And when you're young, you know, the heat doesn't really matter. You're good. You're running around, and I remember those days too. But it's so much nicer now because it's like 80 degrees. You know, it's 80 degrees, and you're running around the theme parks or the state parks. Robin and I have an annual pass to the Florida state parks, so we like to go to the state parks. It's a great place to get reference photos. It's a great place to do plein air painting. And it's just a way to get out and get a little bit of exercise in, and it's just fun. We did in 2011, in the year 2011, Robin and I did, I think 60 or so plein air paintings as a fundraiser for the Literacy Council. And we went to so many different parks. The reason we chose the state parks is because they allowed dogs. Now, I don't have a dog, but back then I did. I had my dog named Who, H-U was her name. I called her Who Baby. And, oh man, she loved going out there. I got so many photographs of Who just laying in the shade next to the picnic table where we were painting or wherever. Just enjoying it. Oh my gosh. I'm going to get myself emotional thinking about it. Yeah. I love dogs. I would probably get a dog if I was alone. But the problem at this age is that you're going to visit the kids. We have Robin has a son in New Jersey and a daughter in Texas, and my son lives here, so it's not that far. But you have to either take the dog or put them in a kennel, and dogs hate kennels. Oh my gosh, I would too if I was a dog. Okay, in the painting that I'm doing, you can see that I'm adding the trees, the foreground trees. Yeah, looks similar to the other paintings I've done. It's kind of what I'm doing. I'm drawing in my mind. I'm drawing from memory. I'm drawing from other paintings that I've done. I'm drawing from memories of different places. Actually, the place that I was thinking of in this particular painting is called Tiger Lake. It's a small little lake in a place called Rainbow Lakes Estates. And it's like two lakes that are connected to each other. One is called Lake Bonneville, and the other one is called Tiger Lake. And I used to live near them, and I would walk down to them all the time. And there was at least one alligator. They always say if there's one, there's got to be more. But there was one alligator, and I would always look for that alligator. Like I say, there might have been more than one, who knows. But I would always look for that one, and that would not always find it. So if you don't find it, then you think, oh my gosh, what if I walk up on it? What if I step on it or something? Because I would sometimes walk along the edge of the lake, and some of that edge, the edgings is sometimes marshy and has long, grass and yeah, probably was risky. And if you're wondering, did I have a dog? No. Because I know that dogs and alligators are a bad mix. If I can give you anything to take away with you today that has nothing to do with painting, if you have a dog, do not walk your dog near a lake in Florida or even Georgia or any of the states that have alligators, because alligators they'll jump out of the water and grab the dog. I've seen too many stories in the news of horrible, horrible stories where the dogs get eaten or almost eaten. Enough of that. I don't want to put your mind in that place. But so as I'm doing this narration, I'm watching myself on the video painting, and it's okay. I feel like I made it too symmetrical. Like there was like the four trees, just like that. But oh well. See, that's what I like to do. Also, I like to look at the paintings and say, what would I do different next time? Oh, by the way, right there, you see what I'm doing? I'm dabbing in a little bit of white. Actually, it's light green. I put white and green together, and I'm fading out or making it hazy in the distance. Because now that I have those trees there, I can see that those distant trees need to be a little bit more washed out, a little bit more atmosphere between the viewer and the trees in the distance. And then you can add some darker colors to the bottom. just because that's where the shadows will be the deepest. So you can see how that worked out. The light on the grass, the sunlight on the grass, and the sunlight on the trail are still needing to be fortified a little bit brighter. So, although, I mean, again, looking at it now, maybe I should have just left it like it is. But, so I would go down to that lake all the time. I'm talking about the 1970s. Wow. How did I get to be so old? I guess I should be glad I got to be old, huh? The other day I was driving, and my son called me on the phone. And I said, "Hey, how you doing?" He said, "Good." I said, "What's up?" He said, "Nothing. I just haven't talked to you in a while." And I thought, boy, that's great. Just calling me, because I always feel like I want to talk to him all the time. And because when he was growing up, we were best friends. And we were doing everything together. And we're still super, super tight. I love my son, and I think he loves me. I think. But anyway, he called me while I'm driving, right? And I'm trying to think of something to talk about, And he says, "Look to your right." And I looked to my right, and he's in the car next to me. And I said, no wonder you called me. You saw me here driving. It's kind of funny. So he was on the same road as me, but of course, going faster than me, because I have a tendency to be the slow guy on the road. I go the speed limit. Does this happen to you, by the way? Okay, the speed limit is 55, let's say. I go 55. It seems like everybody's passing me. And it's not just the car I have now. It's like every car I've ever had. So you can't say, well, your speedometer must be wrong, because that means my speedometer has been wrong for every car I've ever owned. And I suppose that the other people who are also going 55 are back there somewhere, but I'll never see them because they're going the same speed as me. And then, can we talk about pet peeves? Do you have right on red in your state? I hate right on red. You get to a corner where there's a red light, and there's cars coming in the in the crossroad, and you got to wait for them. And then when there's an opening, you go. Now, who decides when it's safe to go? You do, right? But there's always somebody behind me who thinks it's safe to go. Go ahead, and he blows his horn. And I just call it the right on red bully. The right on red bully is everywhere, always telling me, go. And I'm thinking, no, it's not safe yet. I do not want to jump out like a jackrabbit and go. First of all, I don't know that my car can do that. But I just don't want to risk. Why would you do that? So I don't like the right on red. I wish they would get rid of right on red. Just when it's green, you go. When it's red, you stop. And even then, sometimes people, you've seen them, they go through the reds. They go through the stop signs. In this part of the world, a lot of people have golf carts. And I don't own a golf cart. I'd like to one day. But I often think that they don't abide by the rules, and maybe they don't even have rules. I don't even know how golf cart laws work. But they're out on the road with the regular traffic, and they're not wearing seatbelts. They're not stopping, or they're not stopping completely at the stop signs. Not all of them, but a lot of them. But I do like them. I do like golf carts. One day I'll grow up and I'll buy a golf cart. And then I'll be driving around. And I'll be telling all the other old people in golf carts, you're breaking the rules. Where'd you learn how to drive? What was some of the things you used to say, like in the not so vicious past, like when road rage wasn't as vicious? Road rage is vicious now, right? But when we were younger, there was things you yelled out the window. For example, where did you get your driver's license? In a Cracker Jack box? Now there's a pretty gentle, a pretty gentle road rage statement. I hope you're painting. I hope as you watch the video, I don't know if you can watch it and paint at the same time. Maybe you can look up at it now and then and just chat with each other, and maybe I'm chatting with you. I'm just bringing up subjects. It's a thing I did a lot in the past. I did radio shows, did talk shows. Can I tell you something about the radio shows? When hurricanes would come through, this is before people had like smartphones and they had all the information they needed right at the tip of their fingers. But before smartphones and in the internet, there was the local radio station. And guess who that was? That was me and Robin. And when there was a hurricane, I would stay in the studio all night long if it was an overnight storm. And we would just talk. We didn't always have information about the storm, but we would just talk about whatever came to mind, And whenever we had an update on the storm itself, which came across on what they used to call a wire, the Associated Press had a printing machine in each broadcast outlet, radio or TV. And you might have heard them, and that little clicking, ticking thing, the typing of the pages. And then you would rip them off, and then you would bring them back to the microphone or the camera if you're on TV, and you would let the people know what the latest information was. But other than that, basically we were just talking. We had an advantage over TV because we could just talk for a long time. We could talk all night long. And I always felt like, well, I'm not really doing much. I'm just sitting here talking. But then later on, somebody would come up to us and say, hey, remember back in the day when we had the hurricane? I was tuned into you guys. And it was so comforting to know that you were there, just listening to a familiar voice. And I thought, wow, I guess that's what we were doing. We were being a familiar voice. And it was local radio, so it wasn't, I wasn't talking to the whole nation. I was just talking to this town. And some of the listeners would call in all the time and chat with us. We got to know people that we never actually met. We got to know them by name. We got to know them by voice. And I remember there was a gentleman who called one day. And he called quite frequently. He would tell us stories about his wife and his children and his grandchildren. And he would tell us all of these stories. And then one day he called and he said, I lost my Louise. And Louise had died. And Robin and I, it was like family. And we just responded. We reacted in the most natural way that we can and that we do. We just said, I'm so sorry, Norm. His name was Norm. I'm so sorry. Then, later on, Robin and I were at an event, like maybe a year later or something, and we're at an event, and somebody comes up to us and they say, I was listening the day that Norm called and told you that he'd lost his wife. And that was the day I decided I was going to stick with you guys on the radio because I knew you were honest. I knew you were authentic. And I said to Robin, that's the one thing I always wanted to be, is honest and authentic. If I got something that's bothering me, I think I should say it. If this, I don't want to sugarcoat anything, and I don't want to paint a dismal picture either. I just want to be me. Just be me. And now I don't do the radio show anymore. But I do think that sometimes when I'm doing these videos, that I'm in that same place. And doing that same thing. So just like on radio, maybe it wasn't about the information. Maybe it wasn't about the updated news or the updated weather report. Maybe it was just about being a friend. Just being somebody who listeners could, relate to. And so maybe that's what this is. Maybe it's not about the painting. Maybe it's not about the technique. It's not about how you do this and how you put the paint on and what paint you use and, oh gosh, all those things that they're important. Maybe it's more just about being here and sharing our lives. The one thing I wish we could do would be to have you guys also as interactive with it as possible. Yesterday, when I did this video, the one I'm narrating right now, I did it live. I've done a couple of them live, but I really don't know how to do them live correctly. I think I need to ask somebody how to do these better, because I've watched other people do live videos, and I have been able to communicate with them in real time. Say hi. Not in my voice, but with text. And then with their voice, they'll say, oh, Larry just wrote and said hi. Hey, Larry, how's things in Florida? And they'll say, well, they know me. They don't know me, but they know who I am when they see my name. And so if I could do more live videos and figure out how to see the monitor while I'm painting so that I can see your messages. See, even like with this painting here, I guess it's close enough, but I feel like maybe it should have been a different angle or different, maybe closer. I don't know. Anyway. What is it? It's 6:43. Wow. Really? Have I been talking 43 minutes already? Yeah, in about 45 minutes, I am heading out of here. Heading over to Daytona. Gonna stop at McDonald's first. Can I tell you that? Gonna stop at McDonald's. I love McDonald's coffee in the morning. Yep. I'm a big fan of the coffee at McDonald's. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of coffee in general. Sometimes in the old days when you would go to a convenience store for coffee, it wouldn't be good because it would be sitting there all night long. But nowadays, they got these machines in the convenience store where it grinds the beans like right then and there. So so it's freshly ground, and then it makes a cup of coffee somehow in the machine. Isn't it funny how things have new ideas? Well, the painting is almost done. You can see now I'm adding the leaves to the trees because I didn't want them to be completely leafless. I wanted it to be a lush forest area, just like I remembered from all those years ago when I used to walk down to Tiger Lake. Yeah. And it's notable also, it's just shop talk here from an art point of view, from art talking, whatever, shop talk. You see those... the shadows of the trees that go down across the trail, and that is a way to make it look like there's a hill there. By the way, it's kind of a trick. If you make the shadow slanted like that, say, "Oh, that must be a hill." Your mind does that. You don't have to do anything. It's just an automatic thing. I think as you are watching this now, I can't tell from what I'm doing right here. But I think as you're watching this, there are commercials. Because, now see, I've never narrated one of these like this before, after the fact. Or maybe I have, but not like this. Not after it was already uploaded to YouTube. And I'm looking at the screen here, and it looks like it's telling me that there's a commercial coming up. Let me see if I can do this like in the old days with the radio show. All right, so we'll be right back after this. Did it work? I guess I'll find out. There's a little, like a little line. I don't know how else to say it. Just a little line that I think that means there's a commercial in that spot. Let's see. This whole video is 1 hour and 3 minutes, and I'm up to the 50-minute mark already. So we got about another 13 minutes here. If you have some art and you want to share it with, oh, sorry, I hit the microphone. If you have some art and you want to share it, you can go to the Poppa Paints Facebook group. You can also, I have no problem with you promoting your art in the comments underneath these videos. I have no problem with you sharing your websites. And, the only thing I'll take off is if it's inappropriate. You know what I mean. I don't need to give examples. We're all smart. We're all adults. That's what they say, right? We're all smart. We're all adults. So I can hear Robin. She's awake. She's probably been awake a while already, because she knows we have to leave at 7:30. So, should I stay on here another 10 minutes? Should I stay on here? I've got to upload this audio to this video so that you can hear it. Otherwise, you won't hear it. I feel so stupid for turning on the mute button, because to be honest, you would have loved the way it sounded outside. All those birds. I'll go out and do it again. I think I liked the process of being out there. I like the idea that you can communicate with me while I'm doing it, but I don't know how to set it up right now. I'll think about this. I got a long drive to Daytona, a lot of time to think. Sip on my coffee and think. When you get to the condominium we're going to, it's all gated. There's a gate, and the guy who we're visiting, his name is Mike. He has to come down and let us in, and then we have like this privileged parking space. Do you know how much it costs, by the way, to drive on the beach in Daytona? $33. I am not exaggerating. When we were kids, it was $0. It was free. I think my computers are really running. It used to be free to drive on the beach. Now it's $33. I remember when they first put a price tag on it. $3 was the first, pretty sure. But now it's $33. Or you can get a $100 annual pass. I don't know if that's for everybody or just for Florida residents. However, there are some free places to park. But don't assume something is free. You got to really make sure it's free if you happen to be here. I'll give you a story that just is unbelievable. If you park in a place that you're supposed to pay, they meaning I guess the police, will take a photograph of your car license plate, and I think it's done automatically. I think like robots do or something, and then you get charged $50. $50 just to park your car. $30 you could have parked on the beach. Oy. And now the whole beach is not accessible anymore. A lot of the beach is a no-drive zone, which, to be honest with you, I kind of like the idea that there's some parts where you don't have to worry about the cars. Especially if you have little kids. You don't want to be on the beach with cars. Because even though the speed limit is like 10 miles an hour or whatever, people don't obey that. Yeah. Well, let's see. I got about 6 minutes left. I'll just hang out here with you guys. Wait till it's over. So you can see I'm just doing the finishing touches on the painting, adding the leaves to the trees. I wanted to add some yellow and yellow-green to the external leaves so that it had that look of sunshine hitting the leaves. And by the way, on the left side of the trees where the sun is hitting, I didn't mention this when I did it, but I painted yellow ochre, I think it was. It's just some kind of yellow. It doesn't have to be yellow ochre. It could be whatever you think looks good. And then that gives it the sense of the sunlight hitting the side of the tree. So that way it's not so flat. It's got a little bit more depth to it. And then, after I was done, and I'm pretty sure I'm almost at that point right now, I showed you my cactus out there and my apple tree. I feel like I remember doing that yesterday when I did the video. Oh, by the way, the palette I'm using, I love that palette, that wooden palette. It really is. It looks very artist, doesn't it? Looks very much like an artist. I am not a good palette keeper, though, because mine is a mess. All the palettes I use are messes. All my palettes are messes. Well, I'm just adding the flowers now. Oh, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm putting the little dots that represent the flowers, the wildflowers, along the trail. Kind of brightens it up a little bit. Makes it look a little bit more inviting, more beautiful, more dreamlike. So, well, the video is almost over. I've got about 7 minutes, right? I think. So you guys have a good day. Again, if you have some art that you want to share, please share it. Either put a link in the comments or just go to the Poppa Paints Facebook group. I think that's what you call it, Facebook group. Yeah, the acrylic paint dries so fast. It's a nice medium. I don't know who invented acrylic paint, but it was a good invention. It's one of the names you don't know. You know who invented the light bulb, but you don't know who invented acrylic paint. See, what would you have to look at? Boy, it's getting busy out there. I can hear the cars. Yeah, it's almost 7 o'clock, so people are heading to work. It's Friday. Yeah, I remember before I retired, Friday was it was a false sense of relaxation, though. False, because I always worked on the weekends, too. But just something about Friday made me feel like, it's Friday. Jump on the bandwagon with everybody else who loves Fridays. And I guess that's it. I'll just let this roll now, and I'm just putting those final touches on there. When I have painted plein air paintings, and I've been outdoors with an easel, I always hated when a passerby would stop and look at the canvas, like in the very beginning stages, like when it looks ugly, it's like, oh my gosh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. But it was always fun, like when you're at this point and somebody walks up and looks at it and says, oh, that's pretty good. That looks pretty nice. That's just simply pretty. I had a lady one time, and she asked me if she could buy the painting. I wasn't even done with it yet. Yeah, that happens every once in a while. And so Robert and I had a few dollars, and we we went to get a burger. So it's a way to make a living. It's just paint in public somewhere. And all right, now I'm kind of I think, if I can remember what I was doing, it looks like I'm done. Oh, I saw the camera move. I must be done. Let's see. Because I know I showed you my cactus. Pretty sure. Oh, there you go. I'm moving the camera. I want to show you the yard and me. I have no idea what I said here. I didn't have the sound turned on. So, there we go. Oh, okay. I was probably telling you, let me show you from a different angle. Yeah. It's not such a great painting. It's really just an illustration, I think. But it would be fair to call it impressionistic. Oh, I could do better. I could do better than that. I'm a little bit disappointed in the work. It looks good from a distance, but I think I could do better. I think I like the idea of impressionism and using a lot of paint, thick paint. So let me see if I can show you something. These are the plants Robin has on the porch. And you can see I'm not a very good camera holder. No, back to this. I feel like it's an old 8mm movie the way I'm jerking it around a lot. Oh, yeah, it's me again. All right, Poppa, turn the camera around. I want to show them. Look how red my face is. Like, well, it was hot out there. It was. There. That's where I show you my cactus. See that? See that cactus? I got that cactus when my brother passed away because he lived in Arizona and I wanted something to remind me of him. It was 98 cents and it was only about 3 inches tall. And that was in 2019. And there's my flamingo. And what I did is I cut, see those little tiny, the smaller cactus? I cut one off and I planted it over there. Can you see it? In that little fenced-in area around the rock. And it's growing too, so. Well, that's the screen. The camera was focusing on the screen. Ay. And now I got it super zoomed in. Now you can see how crappy the painting actually is. It looks good from a distance. All right. Gee. So sorry that the sound wasn't on, but I guess this has been okay. Just hanging out with you today. I got about a half hour before I have to head to Daytona, so I'll have to wrap this up and then make sure I upload the audio to the YouTube video so that you can have some audio on here. Oh, that right there, that tree, see that little wispy thing? That's actually an apple tree. When I was working at the radio station, I was eating an apple one day, and one of the seeds in the apple had a little root coming out of it. So I put that little seed into a jar with wet paper towel, you know, like you do when you're a kindergartner. And then later on I put it into a pot with soil, and it grew into a seedling. And then later on I kept transplanting it until I had to put it outside. It was getting too big. And now I don't know what I'm going to do if I ever move from here. I guess the people who move in here will inherit an apple tree. All right, looks like the video is done. So you guys take care. Thank you so much for your kind comments, and I'll talk to you tomorrow probably. All right, bye.